Hi, so today I'm going to be showing you how to take a full body measurement. This is if you're making a dress, a shirt, a top, anything along those lines. And I'm going to be showing you what you're going to be doing. First things first, your client needs to be wearing something that is fitted, and then they also need to have a bra on just so you can get the correct and accurate measurements. So first thing, I will take the shoulder. So from one side of the shoulder bone to the other side bone, you're going to measure it, and I'm getting 16 inches. And then the next thing you're going to be taking, so my vertical measurement is I'm going to go from the shoulder. So if you see where the side of the ear is, you follow that to the shoulder line. So you take from there to where the bust point is. So wherever your client's nipple is, that's where you're going to be taking your bust length. So I've got 11 inches here. Then under the bust, so like wherever the bra line is, you're going to take that measurement. And with this one, I'm getting 14 inches. So it's not going down, it's under. So that's 14 inches. Okay. And then for the half length, so the half length is the smallest part of the waist. So if you get them to like tilt a bit, so where this line is where the half length is going to be. So if you take a note of it, sometimes people like use rope to tie on the different side just so you can get where it is. But I'm just going to eyeball it. So it's going to go to where the half length is here, and I'm getting 17 inches. So if you take note of the 17 inches, the next thing I'm going to start doing is take the horizontal measurements. So the first one I'll do now is the over bust. So if you're making like an off shoulder and it needs to just sit over the bust, you'd measure it like this. It needs to be just a bit tight, just so you can hold on here. So I'm getting 37.5 inches. And then for the bust, so this is 40 inches. It does not have to be too tight, because if it's too tight, then it's going to press on the bust too much, and that's not what we want. And then on the bust, so where it to be on the bust line measurements, that's where you're going to be taking this one. And make sure to stand to the side, not in front of the person. You need to be standing to the side just so you can see what you're doing. And then from the on the bust, when you're measuring, you're using just one finger to hold on to the tape. So the on the bust is 32.5 inches. Okay, and then for the half length, again, you're going to measure around the smallest part of the waist, and this needs to be a bit snug just so it can hold the waist properly. Again, using one finger, you measure it, and this is what, 32 inches. Okay, now for the top length, depending on the length of the top the client wants, you would measure from that top all the way to however long the top needs to be. So with this one, I'll just make it 27.5 inches. So now that we've gotten the top length and it's sitting on the hips, we also need to get the hip circumference. So you just put the tape on the fullest part of the hip and measure it. Now, when you're measuring the hip, you need to be able to move the tape up and down to make sure that you get the right fit, because what you don't want is to make a dress or a skirt and they cannot sit or move. Okay, so just using one finger, you'd take the measurement like this and then move it all the way around easily. It does not have to be too tight. If you feel like it's tight, you just open the tape up and then make sure you can move the tape around easily. So when you get the measurement, you take note of it. And then the next measurement you want to be able to take is the full length of the dress. So if you want the dress to be like mini length, obviously you're going to take that measurement. If you want it to be midi length, which is below the knee, you take that measurement. And if you want it to be a maxi length, which is from the shoulder to the floor or to the ankle, you would take that measurement. So for this one, I'm going to be taking a maxi length. Again, from the shoulder, top of the shoulder, you break the measurement. So you're not just going all the way down. You would break it. So maybe do the on the bust, go down to the hip, and then go down to the length of the dress. So with this one, I'm getting 61 inches. You take note of that and mark it on there. So the next measurement you want to take, most times the dresses tend to have sleeves. So if you're doing like a blouse, a shirt, whatever it is, if you're to take a sleeve measurement, the first thing you're going to do is get the bicep. So if you check the fullest part of the arm, you would measure around the fullest part of the arm like this. And then I'm getting that as 14 inches. It doesn't have to be too tight, just so it's comfortable. So I'm getting that as 14 inches. Now the next measurement you're going to take is the armhole circumference. And with that one, you'd measure around like this. Again, it doesn't have to be too tight because you want the arm to be able to move around easily when they wear the clothes. And this is a socket, so it needs to be able to move around easily. So I'll take the measurement like this. Now the next thing is to take your sleeve measurement. So if you want it to be to be short sleeve, before the elbow, you measure it like that. If you want it to be 3/4 sleeve, which is below the elbow, you measure it. And if you want it to be long sleeve, below the elbow to the wrist, you measure it like that. And take note that the measuring tape needs to be on the shoulder bone here, and then you mark it to where you want it to be. So you don't measure it like this. If you're making a fitted shirt and you want that the person is able to move their hand easily, you're going to take the measurements like this. So the elbow would be bent, and then you take the measurement like this, and you find that this measurement bent is usually longer than if their arms were straight like this. So that's what you need to take note of when you're taking measurements. So if it's like a free sleeve, it's not really fitted, obviously take it like this. But if it's a tight fitted sleeve, you get them to bend their elbow. Now the last measurement for the sleeve is circumference around the wrist. Now when you're taking this measurement, it doesn't have to be too fitted like this, because you want that they're able to wear the shirts from the hand like this. If it's too fitted, then obviously it can go right through the palm. So the standard is usually about 7 to 9 inches, depending on the size of the person. For a shirt that has a placket, obviously it's going to have buttons on it. So with that one, you make it a bit more fitted than the measurement I'm currently taking now, because it's going to have buttons and you're able to open up the buttons to wear the shirt. You'll see that it's able to go past the palm, so that's what you need to take note of when you're taking the wrist measurements. So that's all for like making a top, making a shirt, a dress, blouse, whatever it is you're making. That's the measurement you need to be able to know how to take, and the measurement needs to be accurate. If not, the outfit you're going to be making would not come out very well, and you have to be doing a lot of adjustment. And one thing I need to mention, I just remembered now, is if you're doing like a bustier, a corset, those type of measurements, or even a top for that matter, you want to be able to get the half length at the back, because the half length at the back is usually different from the half length in front. So you take the measurement from the nape, so the bone here, you put the measuring tape there, and then you find where the half length is, you go all the way like this, and then you put the tape on here. So you see that the back half length is usually shorter than the front half length. So with this one I'm getting 15, and the front half length I got 17. So that's something you need to be able to take when you're doing a blouse measurement. And that's it from me, guys. If you've got any questions, leave that in the comment section down below. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you watched all the way to the end of this video, click on the subscribe button, click on the notification bell, so when I post any upcoming videos you get notified. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.